The former Principal Auditor has already been chastised by the government for having highlighted the need for a Public Accounts Committee. In the past, the government has said the Principal Auditor is not a policymaker and that his role is to examine government expenditure and value for money, not to express opinions on political matters. The issue of a Public Accounts Committee, it said, is exclusively a matter for Parliament and politicians and does not fall under the Principal Auditor's constitutional remit. The government also criticised the opposition for what it claimed were attempts to politicise the role, saying this was not only disappointing but dangerous. The Principal Auditor, it said, must be free to carry out its statutory responsibilities without being dragged into the political arena. It added he must be free to say what he wants and should not be submitted to public statements by politicians suggesting one view or another as a better position. In his report, Tony Sacramento points out the Public Accounts Committee is a key institution in parliamentary systems around the world, especially in countries that operate under the Westminster parliamentary model. He notes similarly sized and smaller overseas territories all have established public accounts committees within their parliamentary structures, and that Gibraltar is currently the only UK overseas territory without one. He recognises there is not full support in Parliament for setting up a Public Accounts Committee, but adds that nevertheless he must again insist and call upon the House to consider it, to further strengthen accountability, transparency and responsible financial management. The GSD and the GSOP Liberals differ on the need for a Public Accounts Committee. The GSOP Liberals are against its establishment, saying that in the past such a committee existed for only one term because it became clear that it was not suited to the size of our democracy and to the way our Parliament works. In the GSOP Liberals' last manifesto, they state the Gibraltar Parliament already enjoys the power to examine expenditure in detail both during the budget debate and outside it. It believes the establishment of a Public Accounts Committee chaired by an opposition MP would lead to controlling officers and other civil servants being grilled in public by the opposition. For its part, the GSD opposition has been pushing for its establishment. It says it worked well in the 80s and pointed out that controlling officers have a responsibility under local law. It believes they would actually welcome the opportunity to explain what they're doing to ensure value for money is achieved for the taxpayer. In 2016, the GSD's Roy Clinton filed a motion calling for the committee to be established. This was defeated in Parliament. In February last year, it filed a second motion calling for its creation as recommended by the Principal Auditor. When doing so, it accused the government of a complete lack of commitment to transparency and accountability in the public finances. The private member's motion was, however, deflected and amended before it was passed by government majority. Instead, the government expressed its continued support for the Principal Auditor's work and stated it had an electoral mandate against the establishment of a Public Accounts Committee. A GSOP Liberal manifesto commitment states that if elected, they would bring legislation to Parliament to enhance the powers of the Principal Auditor. In answer to GBC questions, Number 6 confirmed this has not happened, saying, however, that it remains in progress and that meetings have already taken place with the new Principal Auditor to implement the proposed changes. Following the appointment of Phil Sharman as Principal Auditor, the government thanked Tony Sacramento for what it described as his years of dedicated and professional service to Gibraltar.